What was the most awkward interaction you have ever had with your crush? Finally asked a girl out, and she eagerly accepted. About halfway through the date, she turns to me and says, "You know what? I've decided to stay with my fiance." Not sure what's worse, finding out she has a fiance, or realizing that it was your company that drove her back into his arms. We were messaging about the homework in our class when he asked for my opinion on a poem he wrote for his crush. I had some hope that it was me and this was gonna be a cute way for him to tell me. Nope. It was actually a poem for his crush and he used her name in it. I said it was good, even though it kinda hurt inside. Oof. We were at her place. She's sitting on the couch and her purse is next to her. I grab her purse to move it so I can sit next to her, and then some tampons fall out. She quickly gets up and puts them away. I've never seen her move so fast before. Now she's not my wife. No idea why this made me laugh so much. Went for a hug and she went for a handshake. Then started to go for a shake and she went for hug. It lasted a while. My dad was watching from the car. Lol, he was so embarrassed for me. I'll take intimate contact that feels like a slap for 500. Alex. Back in high school, I was talking to my crush out in the lunch court, and a bird shat on my face. Open bracket. Not gonna lie, yeah, had me in the first half. Laughed my ass off at this. When I was a freshman in college, there was a crazy hot girl I would have happened to not mind going out with. She was also my little sister's dance teacher. Anyway, we are walking to class, and thinking I would be a chivalrous gentleman, I reached to open the door for her. Except instead of grabbing the handle, I completely missed and only grabbed air. I managed to catch myself before I got the ground, but that was the last time we walked to class together. This happens to me way more often than I'd care to admit. Completely miss the door handle and almost go face first into the damn door. We played truth or dare in a large group. 3 guys, 1 girl. All of us guys had a crush on her. At the time I had a goatee, and she was dead to lick it, so she used her tongue to draw a wet circle all the way around my mouth. She had really bad breath and I could smell her saliva all day. It was a miserable experience. Reload strat to tell the girl you like to lick some other dude's beard. Holding hands on Valentine's Day 2 weeks ago. But not as you might think. She is just a friend, not my girlfriend, and the situation is by no means a romantic one. I stagger through the door and drop into bed after realizing I'm too drunk to party on, but unfortunately not drunk enough to vomit it all out. I begin to question whether the last 4-5 shots of vodka actually were a good idea, as I assure my friends that I'm fine, and they leave a room to find me a sick bucket. Said girl takes a seat beside me. The first thing my hand inadvertently reaches for is her hand, and eventually I start mumbling incoherently about how I like her, how I value her presence, and encourage her about the upcoming examination phase. From what I can tell, the poor girl looks worried, but smiles a little. Then I manage to fall asleep, holding her hand, at 1 AM on Valentine's Day. Well, that was definitely worth the following hangover. That sounds like a nice moment. I've always been big on platonic affection. Last weekend she wanted to take selfies with me at a birthday party, and for whatever reason I always make the weirdest faces when I know my picture is being taken. She got frustrated and just gave up. I'm going to ask her out on Saturday though, so wish me luck. I salute to you. Seniors in high school. He's tall, dark, and handsome, slightly moodly. I'm the aggressively friendly soprano. After a fun day together at a choral festival, he was stage crew. He gave me his number. Called the next day. We spoke for hours. He brought up that he and his dad had moved here from FL. Me, oh, really? I always thought the kids would go with the mom in a divorce. Him, they are not divorced. Me, incredulous. What, is she dead? Him, yeah. I too died right then and there. I tried desperately to salvage the call, but ended up figuring I'd never see him again. Saw him the next day at school. He smiled and patted me on the head saying, "I get it. You had no way to know. We are good. Married for 20 years now. I get it. You had no way to know. We are good. You picked a good one to marry." I was flirting with a guy for like 2 years. It was obvious we liked each other, but something always came up and we never admitted it. Plus he was kinda hesitant at times. So he finally tells me he really likes me. I say I like him too. We make plans to see each other. I come. The first thing he does without even saying hi, he goes in for a kiss, and as he's coming in I can see it's not gonna go well, because he opened his mouth like he was swallowing something huge. So he basically opened his mouth so much that he didn't even touch my lips, but went around and swallowed 1/3 of my face. So he stayed in that position for a few seconds without moving his mouth at all, and then backed away saying, "Ugh, it's obvious you're not experienced 2.0. It was the most awkward thing in my life." We didn't speak for some time after that, and he told people that I'm a bad kisser. BTW, we're 25. I'm sorry this happened to you and this sucks, but the visual you gave was just too funny. When I declared myself for her, she asked why I liked her, and it was hard for me to explain. After that she compared to why people like strawberries. There doesn't have to be a reason. Then she told she liked me only as a friend. My siblings laughed their asses off when I told them this story. Why did your siblings laugh? Was it your sister or mom? Need to set the scene a little for this one. Had an awkward will then won't they thing with this lady for like 2 years. She was an awkward, shy type of girl in that really endearing way. I was into her, but never realized she was into me, so never made a move. She was shy and never made a move. We both were in and out of relationships over this period also. We were never single at the same time, so there was never any momentum to get together. It was just one of those things. You're into someone, nothing comes of it, you move on. She lived with a friend of mine at the time in a house, which is how we met originally. One night I was drinking with my mate watching movies and she decided to join us, which happened occasionally, only this time she was single and I'd recently, literally a week earlier, become single. 2 years of pent up emotion. Why has this not happened before? Sexy time happened that night. Next morning, while still in her bedroom, my ex called me to advise she had chlamydia and I should go get tested to be safe. Naturally I was obliged to pass on that message and completely crush this poor girl in doing so. Still makes me cringe a decade later. So did you have it? I asked her what her favorite dinosaur was completely randomly. If you were in kindergarten at that time, you would have been the shut. Hanging out in my room playing video games. Thought she moved toward me for a kiss, so I did the same. She was reaching for a different controller. It was brutal. At least she shared a common interest with you, liking video games. When I was 13 my crush asked me out via Facebook and then said psych lol. I laughed with him at the time, but that shit hurt. Sorry, my cousin sent that. When he kissed me the first time I immediately dropped my head. I needed a second to process cause I'd been into him for a while at that point, but was too timid to make the first move. I see how it probably looked to him, and promptly apologized and explained. Happy to report we've been together 5 years now. I guess life just has a tendency to go from awkward to awesome. Getting red as a tomato when he comes even near you is horrible. This happens to me whenever I talk to people about things I'm excited or passionate about. Thanks. Social anxiety and being bullied about my interests as a kid, and it's so embarrassing because people see my face go red and assume it's because I have a crush on whoever I'm talking to. I'm like, no, I'm married and my face just does this. Was going home chatting with a girl I had a crush on, but hadn't seen her for a while. She told me she lost some weight, so I complimented her. Nice job. Then it hit me that she struggled with anorexia, which was the reason she was gone for a while. In therapy, I wanted to sink in the ground. Damn, that's effed. That would work great as some sort of dark humor, but that's effed. Got paired with the uber hot cheerleader for a chemistry project. I started tapping my pencil against the top of the desk due to nerves. Somehow it flew out of my hand, hit a razor first, then ricocheted into her eye. She had to go to the nurse and hated my guts, all without me saying a single word. Dude, how hard were you tapping it that it ricocheted off of a razor into her eye? I remember back in I think 10th grade, I really liked this girl for at least 2 years. Well, being the socially awkward virgin I never made a move. She and I were good friends, and one day in one of our classes we were joking and around, and for whatever reason we just stopped talking and awkwardly stared at each other for what felt like an eternity. Finally we broke eye contact and just went back to normal. What's tragic is homecoming was coming up, and I knew she wanted me to ask her, but I couldn't work up the courage to do it. The class duckhead asked her, and they dated for a little while. Last I heard she got pregnant young by a druggie and lived a rough life for a while. I think she's doing fine now though. Funny how life works, thinking about the paths we didn't take, wondering of what could have been. Damn. How are you doing now? We are both actors. There was a part in the play where she was supposed to pretend to kick me in the balls. She didn't pretend. She was very apologetic after, and we are now dating. Fatality. So many. I purposely would walk to my classes the same routes that I knew he would be. One had these set of stairs that I would pass him going down while I was going up. One day I zoned out looking at him, and next thing I knew I tripped faceplanting. My stuff went everywhere, and insult to injury he kept going while laughing at me. Another time I saw him outside at Mart only to zone out again and walked right into a pole with my face. He was just that mesmerizing. Seriously, it had nothing to do with the mating call of a socially awkward girl. If he walked away laughing and didn't help you get up and gather your stuff, or at least ask if you need help, he probably is an asshole and not worth your time emo. My leg went numb in class, and I got up to return a book and fell on the floor, almost on him, and couldn't get back up. Help. I've fallen, and I can't get up. Back in my teens when, after going out for a while, one evening I blurted out that I loved her. She told me that fat people love cake, and look at where that gets them. Oof. I felt that. When she told me that she liked me while we were the last two waiting to be picked up by our respective parents after a school trip, and I asked why. I had horrible self-esteem issues as a kid. Feels Badman. There was this really cute girl at a function I was at in college. I got the nerve to go ask her out on a whim. To break the ice, I asked her where she went to school. She replied with arbitrary college 2 hours away. I just stared at her and said, oh, never mind, turned around and walked away. We are getting married in May. Arbitrary college has some great programs. I've shared this story before, but I still cringe when I think about my first solo date back in high school. I had a huge crush on this girl, thought she was really cool, and I loved her art, and I couldn't believe she said yes. We went to the zoo because it was free, and we were just broke teenagers, and we had a blast. Afterwards we went to grab some food at this place before having to split off to go home. Our trains were heading in the opposite directions and the entrances were across the street from each other, so I walked with her to her side to say goodbye. I closed my eyes and awkwardly leaned in to give her a kiss goodbye, and she went in more for a hug. I ended up headbutting her in the face and her nose started bleeding. I was so embarrassed and didn't know what to say, so I just asked, "Are you okay?" She replied, "I think so." Still not knowing what to do, I just said, "Okay, bye," and then ran across the street to catch my train. It was so painfully awkward and embarrassing, I avoided her for weeks after that. And after the first weeks, what was the first encounter after that like? Me. Her. Me. So, haha, how do you start a conversation with someone? We are talking right now, aren't we? Me. Her. Me. Walks away. Saw my high school crush at a party probably 5 years after high school. She was so pepped up on Adderall she just kept yammering on about people I don't know at a mile a minute pace. That was the day my crush on her died. Damn, that's sad. I'd been hospitalized, and he came to visit me, 14 at the time. The second he walked in, one of my monitors started beeping loudly cause my heart rate had spiked. He noticed. My mom noticed. His dad noticed. Did you die? Elevator, we almost kissed. But due age, and being a student, it did not happen. Oof. Big fat F, that had to hurt emotionally. When I had a crush on my current GF, she was living with her parents. We were in high school and she was lending me a movie to watch. We had a senior day at an arcade and she gave me the movie then. She reached into her purse and grabbed it out. I was already kind of awkward, but we hugged and I left. I took the movie and threw it on my car's passenger seat. It rattled like candy in a box, so I took the movie out of its case and found her birth control. I knew what it was, but I called her and played dumb. Her friends laughed hysterically, and I just said, "Here's your drugs." Both of our faces were red, and we walked away quickly. Looking back, it's hilarious though. Or at prom we played a game called Paranoia and we weren't really going with anyone, but the game is played by asking someone next to you a question that they answer out loud and then you flip a coin. If tails is up you reveal the question. So in my case I was asked to would you have toss your salad, and I said my crush, even though I had no idea what the saying meant. It was tails. What's senior day? Was about to tell her I liked her, then she confessed that she was homophobic. I'm also a girl. Damn, that's some Matrix level dodging. Bold of you to assume I have ever had an interaction with my crush. You'll get there, buddy. Don't worry. It wasn't really awkward for us, but if someone were to hear the conversation it would be concerning. Somehow the topic came up about shaved vs unshaved pubic hair. She also, I still don't know why, but don't really care, brought up how you can actually break a woman's vagina. But now that I think about it, it's probably because I said something about how many genital fractures have been caused by unshaved pubic hair. Good times. Come again. In 9th grade or so, I was walking down a stairwell at school. I saw that my crush and one of her friends were standing at the bottom, talking. I decided to play cool and kind of skip down the stairs. Unfortunately, I slipped and fell down the last 3 or 4 steps, landing on my ass a few feet away from them. I never skipped down steps again after that. I got invited to a New Year's party with a bunch of her friends in her basement. It was a ton of fun at first, but for whatever reason social anxiety hit me like a ton of bricks and I burned out fast. I sat in a corner for 15 minutes trying to get over it, but I had to leave before midnight. Not me but my friend. I was standing right there. She actually said to him, "A la Ralph Wiggum, so, do you like stuff?" I don't think that's what she meant to say, but her brain wasn't functioning properly. It was hilarious. My buddy and I still laugh about it years later. Don't forget to like this video and follow this channel to hear more Redditception.